Today is the 30th of March. It is 17:30, just 5:30 in the afternoon. Well, I don't know what day we're at as far as the pandemic goes. Every day seems to be a little more interesting. But I wanted to talk quickly about some developments that probably everybody already heard of already. I watch these kind of things and see how they develop with a lot of curiosity in regards to technology. Okay, so from what I've learned and from what I understood, that they keep calling this virus a novel coronavirus, in the sense that there are 6 particular types of coronavirus, and this is 7. Novel meaning new. I was kind of surprised actually to hear that. Novel. So it's a relatively new virus. I remember watching World Health Organization press conference on that they sequenced it, which they did relatively quickly. The reason they do that is they want to get an understanding where this thing is genetically. I mean, you could look under a microscope and see what family of virus things belong to. I get that, but nowadays, modern medicine and modern science, you genetically sequence something, you get a better understanding of it, and maybe how it works. Well, some news reporters made a big deal out of, not having enough tests and blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. We have 300 million people in this country. I promise you that no one in this, there's probably talk about pandemics and this, that, and the other thing, but nobody ever really, in the government sense, ever really prepared for it. I mean, come on. I think we can all pretty much guess that. It's like saying this in this day and age. Do you think this country is prepared for a nuclear bomb? I mean, there was a time in this country where they had nuke drills for kids in school. What to do if a nuke was dropped. That's how fearful everybody was of it. Now nobody even thinks anything of it. But nobody in this, the government wasn't prepared to deal with this. I mean, we can all, I think if we're all honest, we could say this, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the way human beings are. It's human nature. I mean, do you think we're prepared for an asteroid heading for the Earth? I mean, maybe we are. Maybe there's a long-term plan for that, and there is something in the arsenal, but truth be told, we get caught with our pants down with this. I don't think that'll ever happen again, because the damage it's done to the economy. I don't think they'll ever let that happen again. But basically what I wanted to talk really quick was this. When they originally started doing tests, there wasn't enough tests to go around, which makes sense. There's 300 million people. And in order to test something, it has to be identified, and you have to make up a test to identify this particular type of virus based on its DNA, I'm guessing. So so you just discovered this damn virus, you have to come up with a test to be able to correctly identify it. So you have labs all over the world working on how to do this. Whether the Chinese did or not, I don't know. I don't trust anything those bastards come up with. But anyway, the first swab they had if you've ever seen those real long swabs, you had to go in and they put it way up in the back of your nose to touch the back of your throat through your nose to get at where they know the virus is. In order to understand a disease, you have to learn something about its biology first. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. And if the Chinese aren't being forthright, what do you think we're going to do here? We got to figure it out ourselves. Well, and then the test results had to go to a state lab And it took days to get it. Then they refined it where I think this might have been last week, 24 hours to get results. Now they're at it. Now they got a new test out, I think as of today, where you get results in 15 minutes. That is pretty amazing if you really think about it. And they don't have to stick something so far up the back of your nose that it goes out the back of your head. Now they can just do a little nasal swab in the front instead of digging in there. That's pretty amazing. So you know some labs have been working really hard to come up with that innovation. And from what I understand, it's a lab called Abbott Labs. Whether I'm wrong or not, I don't know. Or right or not. That's a pretty major development. So what are you going to do? Start stamping out 1 million of these old tests, and then within a week's period, you got one that you can get the results in 15 minutes? So what do you think you're going to do? And then there's a logistics issue of getting it out there, and then a manufacturing issue. And then, I don't know what Americans think. You just snap a finger and you can produce a test kit. No, you have to get the materials. You have to do everything to get it together and start mass producing it. And while we're talking about that, let's talk a little bit about ventilators. Ventilators have been around for a long time. If you think you're going to produce 50, 60, 100,000 ventilators at the drop of a hat in this day and age, you don't understand how things work. This is not a ventilator from 1950. Okay? Now, if you're making these things, they got to be sophisticated. They're not going to look. If you got Ford and GM and some other car companies retooling a factory, which means you got to get the schematics, you got to get the engineers in there to take probably an already patented ventilator and waive the copyrights to it and all that stuff. And you have to retool and die fit a factory to produce them. This is not like making ammunition. It's the way it is. So you can't just snap a finger and have thousands of ventilators within 2 months. If you're going to make these ventilators, they're going to make them on par with today's standards, technologically. Not from 1950. I don't know if you've ever seen any. I've seen ventilators from, come on, man. It just looks like a bulb going back and forth like this. They're not going to have that now. So, yeah, you can't just... And what prompted me to do this? Because I watch every press conference the president has in regards to this viral thing. And listen to the questions some of these reporters ask. And you know what? CNN's Jim Acosta is an asswipe. There's just no question about it. I do not understand why President Trump even calls on that jerk. He is a first-class... Look, don't be stupid. Look at the news media. Look at how they ask questions. Look how they word things. Look, it's a propaganda wing of the left. It's a propaganda machine for leftist politics. It really is. And I say this in a biased sense. And I'm going to say this probably because my uncle lived through World War II. He was a medic in the Army. He was in Buchenwald. He saw people die. He fixed people up. He was, he loved history. And being part of that particular history, he was able to look. He lived to 93 years old. He was able to look down the corridor and see things. And I remember him telling me about propaganda, how it works, what it's about, what it's used for. And I think at an early age, I was able to spot nonsense when I see nonsense. You don't automatically believe everything you hear, but you check different sources. But use common sense. We're in a crisis situation. The whole damn world is, which is kind of, think about this. I mean, I'm 55 years old. This is the first real thing I think I've seen that is really historical in that sense. You're not just going to snap a finger and produce technological, medical, advanced equipment to deal with a microorganism that can spread exponentially in a short period of time. I mean, viruses can produce billions of generations in a short period of time. No amount of human ingenuity is able to keep up with something like that. If it's easy to transmit and you deal with one person gives it to two or three others, and that person gives it, you can't keep up on that. That's the whole idea of staying ahead of that curve thing that you hear them talking about. To flatten the curve, I should say. If you're going to try to fight this, and you need equipment and medication, it takes time to get that stuff produced. It takes time, and then it takes time to train the people. You think you're just going to pull... Why don't we just pull these homeless people off the street, throw them in a factory that makes surgical masks? I'm sure that'll work out just great. Or how about just driving some kids that just graduated high school? You think they're going to be operate the machinery? This isn't a bunch of seamstress. This isn't 1920 where a bunch of seamstress are in there on sewing machines, okay? You have to have a labor force. You have to be able to train them efficiently and quickly. You need engineers to design equipment, and you need and throughout the chain. I mean, I don't think people really think about how much is involved in creating something in a factory and bringing it to a real product at an end. It takes time, and the idea might come up quick, and you might be able to draw it out quick. But man, you got to retool factories, you got to retool machinery, everything that's printed out. I mean, I can't even fathom the concept of it from an electronic computer point of view, of what has got to go into these ventilators to make them work now. Because it's a mechanical machine, but there's a lot of computer technology in there. You're not going to pull this off overnight. I'm sure they got people working around the clock like crazy because nobody wants to see their grandparents die or their kid die. Now having said this, I think it's only a matter of time before any of us start to know somebody that's got it and know somebody that dies from it. I already know someone that died from it, that I've met and I've seen, but I don't know personally. I didn't know him well, but I already know one person that's going like that, and he was a pastor from my previous church who passed away today. And I got notified, I think, 24 hours ago, maybe 48 hours ago, that he was sick with it. I'm sure he's not going to be the last one. And I don't get frightened of things, and I'm still not really frightened. I'm still not losing sleep, but I am really well aware of my own mortality. I'm not 22 anymore and think I'm invincible. And the idea of croaking because of a freaking invisible enemy, the idea of dropping dead from a viral agent really kind of pisses me off. So I don't want to get this. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to have to be strapped onto I'm perfectly healthy, and the next minute I know I'm strapped to a ventilator, struggling to breathe. I don't want to experience this. Am I practicing social distancing? No, not really. Why not? Well, I play social distancing my entire life. I'm not around anybody right now. I am extremely limited in my social contacts, and I'm not a person that likes crowds. I'm a person that has a hard time liking people, period. So social distancing is not a problem for me. Okay, so I'm 15 minutes in. That's my allotted time. Like I said, I've said before, man, pray about it. Just if any, pray for pray for the welfare of your family, the welfare of your friends, the welfare of the people that you don't know. Pray for your enemies. I got one guy right now that I can't stand this guy. I want to strangle him by the neck, but I don't want to see him get this. Nobody deserves to die like that, like this, fighting for breath. Pray for our leaders. Pray for the president. Pray for the task force. Pray for the people that are on the front lines, the healthcare professionals, that they don't get sick. And pray for wisdom that the people in charge do the right thing, and God gives them wisdom to deal with this. And then, and pray for, just pray for the world in general in regards to this. It's not a time for petty politics. I put aside my usual rantings and ravings about liberals because for the 4 people who are going to see this, it's more for me, really. But calm your asses down and don't worry about what's going to come tomorrow. Don't worry about the financials. Geez, I got a mortgage to pay too. I've been out all day today. I think I made $60. And I just spent it all on pigeon food. Go figure. So, take advantage of the time that you have at home with your loved ones. Try to reconnect. Disconnect from electronics. And try to make the most of this, because I don't know if we'll ever have a time like this again. Though I suspect in the future it might be more common, along with plagues of locusts and half a dozen other things that come to mind. But have faith. Discover that there is one true God. One true God. Take the time to rediscover that. If you're really that frightened, man, that's who you should be running to. He'll answer. He'll come. If you really want to know who he is, he will reveal himself to you. If you're half-hearted about it, forget it. You're not going to get nothing. So, well, till next time, stay healthy. And don't let the virus get you.